Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Morgan SLV here. As if you can't recognize the flat top, right? Got a new buzz today. Always feels good. Hey, let's go over gold and silver real quick. Gold, 1243.98. Silver, 1933. I got to tell you, one of the things that feels pretty good, when I've had, people warn me about investing in precious metals. I'm at 100% profit right now, unrealized profit. Yeah, and if I don't play my cards right and don't pay attention to certain indicators, I could mess up and lose it all. That's why I'm always recommending that you all study, right? Enough said on that. Hey, what I wanted to go over today is one of the things that I do is I know that when I first started learning all this stuff, it bothered me when I didn't know what things meant, okay? And so what I'm going to try to do periodically is just kind of go over some basic stuff like fundamentals. What does that mean? One of the things that I picked out is what a kondratiev wave is. And the first time that I'd heard about that was through Michael Maloney. And he says it happens about once every generation. It's just part of the super cycles, if you will, of capitalism. What I'm seeing is this, is that, if you have pure capitalism, then you can probably look up what rules applied when there was pure capitalism and kind of use that as a way to make things happen, correct? As far as forecasting and whatnot. But what I see is we don't have a free economy. And, Mike Maloney agrees, so I'm not taking anything out of context, or I'm not making anything up here. We don't have a free economy. When you got the government, buying GM, right, and giving you $7,000 off to buy a flipping electric car, that's not what's called free market. That's not free market capitalism. You got price caps, you've got income caps. They wouldn't have any problems with these guys getting the bonuses on all these big banks that failed if they weren't involved in it, right? They should have let them fail. Enough said on that, I guess. Let's go over this. Let's see what I can come up with on this Kondratiev wave. Major capitalist economies, they grow, boom, bust, and then grow again in long waves called super cycles lasting around 50 to 60 years. It's believed that they pass through distinct stages: growth, plateau, contraction, and renewal, which closely relate to periods of intense technical innovation. So obviously, since the last quote-unquote winter, Kondratiev winter, which I believe right now we are entering a winter. I don't know that I can call it, dead of winter. I think we're fall and heading into winter. And so that's a little scary. What that denotes to me is that we have further to fall, correct? So you really have to pay attention. In the second half of the 20th century, Keynesian economics and post-war economic boom meant that Kondratiev's ideas kind of fell out of fashion. Well, just because his ideas didn't, in other words, they weren't looking at the proper portion of the cycle, right? They were in a boom cycle, and I just don't believe that they were thinking ahead. Let's take a look a little bit more. But in the 1970s, okay, now this is when I moved into this area. In the 1970s, the booms and busts of our economy reinterested people in his work. Okay, in other words, they could see these. Not everybody's lulled to sleep by the Kool-Aid that the Fed's putting out, all the cheap interest rates and whatnot. Some people were paying attention. And the guy, the author of this, I don't have the author of this, but he says in his last statement, we are in a Kondratiev winter. You should buy gold. Okay, and so what does that say to you? If we're headed into winter, let's just use the actual metaphor. We're going into winter. Okay, you're probably going to want to buy a coat if you don't have one. You're probably going to want to make sure that you have some candles in case the lights go out. You just want to use common sense, common sense in your life, right? So here's the deal. We're going into an economic winter. I don't think we're all the way in it yet. So here's the deal. What are you going to do to get prepared? I've already talked about 401ks in my last video. You know what I think of those deals, right? I mean, if the government gets you all in this corrals you all, and then shoots you in the head, right? I mean, financially, what are you going to do? I watched a big thing on Enron yesterday, and I just couldn't shut it off. And I don't know how much of the truth they were feeding us, but they weren't making them look too good, right? And here's the deal. I used to work for a company called PG&E, and I guess, now don't quote me because the logo looked different, but they were calling it PG&E, and they were saying all their stocks in a matter of days went from PG&E stock to Enron stock. Then Enron went bust, and they were talking to a guy who would be about my age right now, close to 50, and he was wondering what he was going to do for retirement. Now, so let's peel back from Enron and let's stick the government, the U.S. government, in place of Enron. What are you going to do if they take all your money out of your 401k? Or they drain your bank accounts, or all the banks go bust and the FDIC doesn't work? And what are you going to do? So my suggestion is this. I'm going to give you the same suggestion he is. Buy gold, gold. Buy silver, silver, right? Like I say, I can't say enough how well it's performed for me and my family. Can I eat it? No. Will I be able to eat from the income that I'm going to get off of in the future? I believe so. I sleep very well at night. So my suggestion to you is, take a guess, crack a book, right? Go to the library if you don't want to buy them. That's a good thing if you're a fast reader. I'm usually reading 3 or 4 books at a time. I have them in every room in the house, and I'll just pick one up while the kids are watching cartoons or whatever, and I'll pick one up and grab a couple pages, right? So here's the deal. Maloney, Schiff, right? Mark Faber, Da Vinci J15, Silver Futurist, these guys. One of the things that Silver Futurist said today to me too, by the way, is he feels that we're being watched by the conventional media. In other words, they're getting, what are you going to do if you're in the conventional media and all you're doing is you're being spoon-fed crap, right? Not everybody's stupid. For me, if you were to say, well, you're going to get a corner office and you're going to spew forth this crap that the Fed's putting out, or well, we didn't see it coming. There's no way. You're not going to be able to offer me enough money to make that happen. I'm glad I have morals, right? And you would think they would too. So bottom line is, you study up, because I think they're studying us. Silver Futurist said it first, as far as I've heard, and it makes sense, because we're where the rubber meets the road. We're the common sense portion of the economy, and we're getting ready to do battle with whatever they got coming up. Morgan SLV out.